What Kenya do we choose? And we get to talk about it. We get to talk about it. If you remember the 80s, how many remember the 80s? Let's see hands. Single party rule, right? We pushed for multi-party democracy. We went into the 90s. We achieved multi-party democracy. We started the push for a new constitution. And we pushed and pushed together as a country. And then we hit the early 2000s and we formed the Bomas process and the CKRC, the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission. I say this because so many young people don't know where Kenya has come from. The Constitution of Kenya Review Commission spent years at Bomas of Kenya in Lang'ata, taking the views of Kenyans from all over the country, through their representatives, through civil society, spoke and spoke and spoke, and argued and argued and argued, and debated and dialogued. And we got our first draft, which did not pass the scrutiny of Kenyans. Do we remember? It did not pass the scrutiny of Kenyans because it was taken back to Kenya. And then we went back to the drawing board. And then we had a new constitution. 2010, was it? But Vision 2030 had already been birthed. And now we get to birth a vision under our new constitution. And many a time we are frustrated in Kenya. But how often do we stop to say, thank you, Lord, for a country where we can push for what we want? And for that, before I invite our panel, I want to ask us to celebrate our country and ourselves in ululation. I am so proud of being Kenyan because of processes like this. Ladies and gentlemen, leo we are all wananchi. Your Excellency, today we are all citizens. Is that okay? Thank you so much. Allow me now to invite our panel to come up and take their seats, and we will start a dialogue. Dr. James Mwangi, please come up. Let's give him a round of applause as he makes his way up. Daisy Amdani, who's the Executive Director of CRON, focused on community advocacy and awareness. Give her a round of applause. Dr. Mwangi, I didn't give your role because everyone in Kenya knows who you are and what you do. Please take your seat. Please sit where you are most comfortable. Next, let me ask Betty Maina, former CEO of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, to come up and take her seat. Faith Beatrice, President of Daystar University Students Association. Faith, where are you? Please come up. Give her a round of applause. Mwita Ian Matiko, student leader, Kenya Methodist University. Let's give him a round of applause as well. Festus Mwanza Kaluki, youth leader from Machakos, representing people living with disabilities. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes up as well. And also with us, Ambassador Bitange Ndemo. Please do come up and take your seat. He's Kenya's ambassador, I believe, to the Kingdom of Belgium and the European Commission. Please do take a seat. Thank you all so much for joining this conversation. I will start with a simple question. How far have we come as a nation, in your view? And what have our greatest achievements been? And then from there, for you, where are we going? Where should we be going? And how do we get there? Can I start with a youth voice? Faith, kick us off. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. So one great achievement that we've seen is the development in terms of roads. We've seen Thika Superhighway under Vision 2030. That's one of the developments for Vision 2030. Which is a movement along Thika Superhighway, leading to economic growth and empowerment. Here. that's pivotal, yeah.
Sorry, Kenyans are adaptable. When things don't work, we figure it out, right? So that's another wonderful thing about us. James, take us to your journey. Of course, you were part of Vision 2030. You have also been part of building Kenya, private sector, but also wings to fly, and development-wise, you've done a lot. How much have we achieved? And where are we going?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jury. Looking back, we have made very significant progress, but progress is always relative. You only appreciate how far we have gone if you look at our age of 60 years relative to other economies and their age. That's how you really appreciate. But at the Vision 2030, the data was out there. We are ranging between 50 and 80 in terms of achievement of targets. So when you get 50, you have passed. If you get 80, you have done very well. So it's really a question of relying on data. Could we have done better? I think Professor Ino's feedback, because he held the mirror for us, there are areas we could have done better. And that is why it is important to formulate Vision 2063 so that we can do better in the areas that we did well, but also continue to do well in the areas we did well. But I would like to single education and health. To me, while the indicators have not really been what they should be, getting 1.2 million children to sit for an exam in 1 year and graduate to the next, that to me is a huge achievement because we have moved from a very low number.
Where are we going?
I think where we are going is, and I was sitting next to a dream, is fulfilling his dreams. This vision is not about our generation. This vision is about our children and our grandchildren. And he reflected where we are going. And it's, as he spoke, I was amazed that he's helping us to see where we didn't get it right. That we could have been more people-centered. It's really him, it was all about people. Education, security, health, neighborliness, environment. That is all about people. Yes, we did lay foundation in infrastructure, but Adrian representing the people for who we are here wants a people-centered vision.
Very powerful, very powerful. Let me come next to you, Daisy. Tell us what you are most impressed with in terms of what we've achieved, and tell us where are we going. Let's try. Let's see if the mic is working.
Okay, thank you.
Try again. Just hold on.
Thank you so much, Julie, and thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation. I think, and I'm going to speak as a woman, that in Kenya, I think we've made significant strides. I think the most important thing that we did for ourselves as a country was the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution that gave us the framework for inclusion. And when I think of, you talked about the 80s, and there are many things that people don't know about where women came from. I remember when we were in school in the 80s, a woman could not walk into a bank and open a bank account without the permission of her husband, if she had one, or her father, or a significant male other. Women were not seen as having personal agency. Today, women are at the forefront of economic growth, you know? So that's really significant. If you look at our history, where we came from in terms of political representation, it was a male-dominated field. Women who aspired to be leaders were considered somehow wayward because it was really considered a male domain. Today, we have women at every level of our governance, at the county governments, in parliament, in the cabinet. I see here we have 2 female governors of the 6 governors that we have in our country. So we're changing the face of what leadership and governance and power looks like. When you talk about indicators in terms of education, maternal health, in terms of economic growth, I think we've made significant growth, and we need to appreciate that. We look at all the hardware that's been there, the roads, the railways, and everything. But even in terms of income generation, I think we've come a long way as Kenyans. So the young man talked about democracy, the freedom. You know, I really don't think we appreciate the kind of freedom that we have in this country. Angel sang about how Kenyans shouldn't insult their leaders on social media. The freedoms that we have in Kenya, the ability to be able to speak and express yourself, I think this is something that we take for granted because it's not available in many other jurisdictions, but in Kenya we do, and that's why I appreciate this conversation, because it's giving us an opportunity to be able to have a conversation and channel our energies towards talking about the Kenya we want to see beyond Vision 2030, but also to diffuse some of the tensions that are there, because we agree that we're having this conversation within a context of a lot of uncertainty in terms of employment, economic pressures, and all that. So there's also skepticism as to why is this conversation coming at a time like this, just a year before elections. But I think it's important that we have it now. That's why it's important that we have it now. So even the ability to be able to gather here together, to have that conversation, the president calling us as citizens to have a conversation about what the future of our country looks like. I think we've come very far, because usually it's always top down. It's presented to you as citizens, not calling you in to come in. Let's have a dialogue. Let's reason together, and let's vision our country together.
That's incredible. Thank you for that. I think it brings me to Betty. Let me come to you next. And, you know, we were at the forefront of a lot of dialogue over the past 20 to 30 years. And maybe one of the most important things about this country is the ability to sit together and listen to each other when we need to, in the most difficult moments. Let's walk through for you, what are you most proud of? And now as this country comes together in this discussion, starts this process, what's the realistic, process that we need to go through? And I think it will be discussed further, but this is not a short journey. This is, to tell us what you see, and ideally, where do you want us to land as a country?
Well, thank you. It's on, right? Well, thank you, Julie, and referencing how far we've come in this conversation about the future of the country. And like you, I'm actually very excited that we're having this conversation in this context, because we've had conversations about Kenya in the past, and it's not from the 60s, when we think about the futures work that was done by the NCCK. So Kenyans have been thinking about...
We adapt.
Sorry. Kenyans have been thinking about themselves. We gave ourselves a vision at independence. We gave ourselves the goal of eradicating poverty, disease, and ignorance. And therefore, we've been shaping our futures over different times. We've seen, as James has said, if I think about our childhood, when we grew up, I'm thinking it's my age or slightly older, the differences in, our experiences as children then, and where we are and where our children and grandchildren, because now we have grandchildren, are growing up, those are totally different society and a better quality of life. So I think we need to give ourselves credit that we are not where we were in 1963. We're not but we are not where we would like to be. So we've accomplished a lot socially, politically. We've celebrated the Constitution. Economically, we've seen better livelihoods than we experience, education, health. There are many things that we can talk about and celebrate as having accomplished as Kenya. But we are also aware that there are things, we gave ourselves 80%. Somebody might be less generous, James, and say maybe we should give ourselves 70. So 70 gives you an indication of how far you are. And Professor Hino has clearly told us this is where you could be if you did different things. And I think when we now think about the future, we need to think about not focusing on the things that have worked. We like to look at buildings. We think development is capital projects, roads, which is true. It facilitates that. But there is something within that we need to work on. What sort of economy do we have? We focus a lot on, and we are aware of how unequal our society is. So if you ask me, what should we aspire to? We should aspire to a lot more of an equal society. What are the things that will get us that? Professor Hino points out, but history also points out that hard work, clearly, discipline, integrity are critical for building as building blocks for the future. Everybody wants to become rich, but how do they want to become rich? And do they become rich at somebody else's expense? We need to fix the institutions that offer equality for Kenyans. Thank you.
Wow, fantastic. Still adapting. Okay. Can I just bookmark that when Professor Hino did his presentation, and when you mentioned informal sector, there was an applause that came from the back. So I just want to recognize that's a very big part, I think, of what Kenyans want us to focus on is how to give dignity and opportunity and pathways forward to the informal sector. Let me come to you next, Ian. A lot of what we talked through earlier, you probably didn't live through, right? So when you have the chance to look forward and imagine and dream everything, we have a restless, cynical and tired, kind of disappointed Gen Z and youth population. How do we inspire? How do we rebuild? And what do you see as the future for the country?
All right, thank you so much. My name is Ian Mwita Matiko. I may not have lived to see the Vision 2030 being born back in 2008, but I have been a beneficiary of that vision from the time I was born up until this moment. So I'll say what is working in the present and where I think we are headed as a country and what I envision, what I would want as a Gen Z to be achieved in 2060. What is working currently, I've had the opportunity to work under 3 ministries currently. I have worked under the Ministry of Interior, under P.S. Raymond. I've worked under the Ministry of P.S. Fikirini Jacobs, and under the ministry that coordinates Nyota Fund. One of the things that I can say with full confidence that is working is that for the first time in the history of this country, we have had the young generation being brought in conversations, national conversations on matters security. And that is thankful to Jukwaa la Wasomi, which was born last year under the leadership of UCSPAC, which is the Universities and Colleges Students' Peace Association of Kenya. That Jukwaa la Wasomi is working in conjunction with Jukwaa la Usalama under the docket of P.S. Raymond Amolo. So that is one of the most significant things that I've been able to witness as a young person, because now we are revolutionizing our security to include the very people who are going to take it up later on in the future. The second thing is about Nyota Fund. Now, people may see it as a very small thing, but when you look at it keenly, it is inspiring millions of lives. Because for the first time, we have a president who's thinking about the hustlers out there. This Nyota Fund is revolutionizing the way in which we think, because we don't want just to tell people that we're giving you employment. We want to show them that this is how we are creating these job opportunities for you and inspiring you to a future. And the third one is When you look at the National Youth Council, NYC, the last time the elections were held were 10 or 14 years ago. For the first time, we had it gazetted this year that the youth are going to elect their council to represent them in terms of government. And that is that is thankful to PS Fikirini. So that is what I've seen that is working currently. But what do I envision? Which Kenya do I want in 2060? One of the fundamental things that we need to underscore is the Kenya that we are building, we are not merely building Kenya for 2060. We are building a Kenya that we will want to leave behind for generations that are coming in. One of the things that I'd want to highlight is especially the health sector and the education sector. Let me begin with education. We must revolutionize the way in which we educate our people. We must not educate our people to seek for jobs today or to want jobs today, but we should position them to tackle problems that will arise in 2060. And that means we need to bolster our education system. We need to position our people in such a manner that we will not be consuming things from outside, or we will not be consuming knowledge from other states. We will be instead exporting knowledge to other states. We will be inventing and we'll be inventing things and sending them outside. So that means we need to invest more in our education sector. The second sector is health. We cannot be 60, now for 2060 will be 100 years, yeah? We cannot be 100 years old and we are still relying on external aid in terms of medicine, in terms of vaccine, because we are 100 years old. So we should invest in the health sector such that our young scientists, our professional doctors, our brilliant minds can come up with research. That research can be sponsored into the future, and they can dream about a Kenya that can, also innovate. We don't want to go to other states to compete in events. We also want to host those events, and we want to be better at those research competitions. So that is the kind of Kenya that I envision. And if I've been following the mind of the president, when you look at the trajectory that he's trying to build, he's trying to turn Kenya away from consumer country to a producing country, if you look at it keenly. So that is my input for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Festus. Ian, Festus, let me come to you next. You're a leader in your own right. You're doing that in Machakos County. What are you happy about in terms of what Kenya has achieved so far under Visual 2030? And what is your hope for 2063, Kenya at 100?
Thank you, Julie. Is it good morning? Is it good morning? Yes. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, my panelists. What has been significant about the achievement of Vision 2030 to us, persons with disabilities, because that is a constituency that I speak for and work for. We've seen enactment of the new Disability Act that has been in the parking lot for a very long time. The act was assented by our dear president last year, August. Was it August? Sometime last year, and that was a really great milestone that spoke to the intentionality of our government in terms of including persons with disabilities in their activities. We've also seen significant efforts by the government, especially in mashinani, whereby nothing can happen without us being on the table and having our voices where conversations are happening. Kudos to the Ngao team and to the other government sectors like the judiciary and other parastatals of government. And the hope that I have, or the hope that I see is, number one, before I go to the hope, can I cite an oversight that I have seen? Because this is a conversation anyway. When you look around this podium, and online as well, we are missing a very critical accessibility format for those that are following online and those that are in this place with hearing impairment. We didn't, it was an oversight, and I give it as a recommendation that next time that is looked at critically, because
Thank you.
this being a national conversation, then it ought to carry us all to the other side of the river. And the other observation that I have made, I'm moving to my hope. I have also observed that in most of our activities or our events, we are not intentional about including persons with intellectual disabilities. When I speak about persons with intellectual disabilities, is the people that we sometimes shun away from because of their complexity of their disabilities, in that the way they take concept in and the way they give output out is a little bit different from everyone in our midst today. And I believe that is something that in our next roadmap, we should have an intentional way of targeting, really targeting persons with intellectual disabilities and those with autism. The other thing is that I need us to see more formats of communication in our various engagements. I'll give examples. Persons who are short-sighted, that do not see small letters. How inclusive are we when we are projecting?
Even I was struggling.
In our screens? How inclusive was that? And those that use Braille is that format that is going to be accessible to those of us that have gone to school and can use Braille too as a way of communicating to themselves? Again, we have a very forgotten group in the communities that have not been participating in our activities most of the times because of the barriers. The deaf-blind people, we've seen how America has empowered the deaf-blind lawyer. All of us know her. We've seen how she even came to Kenya to inspire us, persons with disabilities, brought in by National Council and brought in to inspire and change a narrative that has been there of persons with deaf blindness are supposed to be left away. Just to ask, how many of us know that we have a language known as tactile. 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 How many of us know that? Mr. President, do you know tactile? Do you know how it is used? Please, it is actually embedded in our national book, our reference book, the Constitution of Kenya, whereby it's a mode of communication for those who are deaf, blind. So we'd also want to see that in play, because it is mandatory to carry all of us to the other side of the river. Now, yes. I am going to my hope. The Kenya I hope to see. I hope to see a Kenya that is inclusive, a Kenya that is intentional, a Kenya that is led by us with diverse perspectives and disabilities. We need to be included, not integrated. We don't want integration. We want to be at the center of where conversations are happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the humanity, even in how you started Festus, and you took a moment to recognize and greet us, and you've taken us through a comprehensive view of what's missing and where you need us to go. Thank you so much for that. I want to also just recognize, you mentioned somebody from a different country who inspired you, but we have our own in Kenya, do we not, who is a senator? Honorable Crystal, yes, and I don't know if she's here, but she's incredibly inspiring, and so I just wanted to also mention that. Thank you so much. Let me come to you, Ambassador Ndemo. Again, we were at the front lines of much of the change of Kenya with you. You were right there, and you saw what it took to change a nation. It's not easy to push, to evolve, but you did that. Take us through the learnings you had in delivering Vision 2030, the part you played in development of Kenya, and where you think we really need to be going for 2063.
Thank you, Julie. Let me recognize His Excellency the President, Deputy President, Prime Cabinet, Cabinet Ministers, and all guests and governors I saw here. The question I have to answer it from the problems that I had before we saw the changes. When going to high school, I would board a bus and leave, and my mother would only expect to hear my voice when I came back. There was no communication, there was zero. To get a telephone, Mwangi can testify here, it took so long to get, if you get anything like that. But the government invested in ICT infrastructure. This ICT infrastructure completely changed the way the world works in Kenya. A lot of young people take it for granted when they get their passport within 2, 3, 4 days. For us, it used to be 6 months, 1 year before you got the passport. There are so many other government services that have been digitized since that time. I think 100% of the government services are online. We are able to pay our taxes online. We are able to communicate online. We are doing several things online because of infrastructure. I'm emphasizing this because Hino also said, going forward, we must look at the infrastructure that will take us forward. Today, with the little infrastructure that we have in northern Kenya, a mother takes a smartphone on a child's chest, and through AI, they are able to identify the kid has tuberculosis. The nurse can do that. This is something that used to be done by radiologists and other things. We need to expand that throughout the country. And what I'm saying, what we need going forward from today is actually to build the future infrastructure for AI, because AI is disrupting education, disrupting health, disrupting agriculture, and that we need to have its own infrastructure. And because of geopolitical contestation, there is a problem that we must begin to solve now. That what every country is doing is to build their sovereign AI, but there is a problem which the president knows very well, energy. We need to have energy. We cannot talk about AI going forward without significant amount of energy. I think we're at less than 5,000 megawatts. We probably need another 10,000 megawatts within a very short period. Companies like Microsoft try to invest in that space. We need to work with the private sector and build the infrastructure the same way we put the fiber in the undersea and also terrestrial to every county. We must invest in the future infrastructure for Kenya's competitiveness. Our education has done very well. Mwangi talked about it. We need to leverage AI, because what the studies are showing is that most of us who have been teaching, we teach an average student. But with AI now, we can identify the needs of every child and actually provide the right thing. It is not going to destroy teachers. It's going to facilitate teaching. I would stop here because I can say.
Thank you so much. The simplest way, I think, to understand AI is to see it as a tool. Ni kama jembe, yeah? It doesn't replace the person who needs to do the work. Maybe jembe is wrong in today's environment, but it's a tool. Your Excellency, I do want to come to you before we open to the floor. As a leader, same question. What are you proud of in terms of what we've achieved so far? And where are we going? But as a citizen, as a farmer, where do you really want us to go? Please tell us.
Thank you very much, Julie. And good morning, everybody. Vision 2030 in 2008 became the roadmap for us as a nation to think long-term about our development. Maybe I see some people straining to see. Long-term for us to plan our way into prosperity. And we must commend President Mwai Kibaki and the vision bearers then, who provided a platform for us to put together what today is finally in the sunset years. Vision 2030 has provided a framework for us to figure out our development. It set out that Kenya should be an industrialized nation, middle income, high quality of life in a safe environment. All the targets we set for ourselves, we have been given a review of where we are on the economic pillar, on the social pillar, on the political pillar, and the enablers. And we have been given a scorecard by the Vision 2030 Secretariat. We have done fairly well in many aspects. We've done well in others more than others. We've been given the figures on the political pillar. We are at 80 plus. I think we have an A. And you can see it. We have a new constitution. We have a robust Bill of Rights. We have a democratic state. We have an open society, a rule of law. We have a working judiciary. We have a civil society that is not constrained. and we have made ourselves a very proud nation. In fact, globally, Kenya is recognized as a democratic country. It is part of the reason why in 2023-24, I paid a visit to America, and the single most important component was the fact that we share in our celebration of freedom and democracy. We have been given indication as to where we are with the economic pillar. In fact, I think of all the pillars, the economic pillar is where we have done not very well, at around 50, I think it was 52, 53%. On the social pillar, we are around 60. We have made progress. Today, we have significantly in our region, we've done very well in terms of paved roads. We have 20,000 kilometers of paved roads. We have a working SGR. We have an expressway. We have dualed some of our roads. We've extended electricity. We now have 10,000 homes. 10 million, 10 million households going to 11 million households connected to electricity. Our transition on education is significant. We have done very well. But why are we having this conversation? And I want to thank the people of Kenya. When I asked the country that it is time for us to have a national conversation about the long-term vision of our nation, we have been explained to why. Number one, Vision 2030 will come to an end in the next 3 years. Medium-term plan 4 is ending in 2027. For us to plan medium-term 5, medium-term plan number 5 is going to take from 2027 to 2032. Yet Vision 2030 is ending in 2030. So we need to have the longer-term vision for us to be able to plan medium-term 5. Reason number 1. Reason number 2, when we figured out Vision 2030, 20-something years ago, the world was much different from what we have today. Technology had not taken the space it occupies today. The advent of AI was not with us. We didn't have the serious effects of climate change the way we have today. We had a completely different situation. It is important that at this point in time, we give ourselves another opportunity to think about the long-term development of Kenya in the context of the world that we live in today. Number 3, when Vision 2030 was developed, it was developed before the new constitution. The new constitution provides us with a better and clearer framework on how to think long-term. And therefore, it is important that we engage in this exercise in the context of a new constitution. A new constitution that does not request us to consult the people. No, it is mandatory. The reason why you find in some cases many people do not understand, do not relate to Vision 2030 was because there was no public participation to the extent that we know public participation as provided for in the Constitution at the moment. And therefore, we have an opportunity this time round, different from the opportunity that was in 2008 to formulate a long-term plan, one that is done by the people, not by government, not by bureaucrats, by the people themselves. And therefore, we need to give ourselves the opportunity, and this opportunity that we have to think about Kenya long term. We want to pick the minds of everybody, the farmers, entrepreneurs, students, technocrats, everybody. Let them tell us what kind of future that we all want to think about. And nobody should assume that any one of us has the monopoly of knowledge. This cannot be, and I make it very clear, this is not a government project. This is a people's project. So Kenyans must prepare themselves. It is a responsibility put on our shoulders collectively. And I will be speaking as a citizen as well, because I also have aspirations on what I think our country should be, beyond me being a leader today in Kenya. And number 4, just so that we contextualize this, the center of gravity, global gravity, in terms of growth, is moving to Africa. Africa today is pivotal. Why? Because of 4 reasons. Number 1, we have the largest reserves of renewable energy. We have the youngest population, a population that a quarter of the world's population will be living in our continent by 2050. Number 3, we have the largest market that is emerging. Number 4, we have the largest reserves of uncultivated arable land for food security going into the future. And therefore, as the center of gravity, global growth moves to Africa, we must position Kenya appropriately so that we become that epicenter. It is for those 4 reasons in my thinking that this is the moment for us to imagine the Kenya that we all want into the future. Many people may say, this being a year where we are going into politics, maybe this should not be the opportunity for us. Now, I want to tell them, Kenya is bigger than any election. For far too long, we have made elections to look like it is a matter of life and death. It is not. Yes, it is important. And the reason why we have not achieved some of our targets is because we have made our plans not with the foresight of the future, not thinking about the next generation, but simply thinking about the next election. And that is how we haven't met some of our targets. And I speak from a position of knowledge, and I speak from a position of experience. It's not always that you become a president of a country. I have the privilege to be the president today. And I want to speak from that experience, that the pressure that always you have, even when you know as a leader this is the right thing to do, you are told always, this will affect your next election, don't do it. This will affect your next election, don't do it. Many are telling me, oh, why don't you concentrate on the next election? Leave this thing, it can be done some other time. I'm telling them, the next election will come and go. Kenya must think beyond the next election. Kenya must think for the next generation. And I want to ask all of us here to think beyond any election cycle or any administration. We must think about the next generation. Let me conclude. I hope I'm not taking too much time. Let me say the following. I have listened to the presenters. I've listened to Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. I've listened to Adrian, the good young man who is 7 years old. I have also listened to Professor Hino. And as we have this conversation, I have picked 4 things. Number one, Professor Hino has said, for those countries that have succeeded, and he's given us examples of Singapore, Malaysia, he's told us about Vietnam, and all the other countries. What was central to their quantum leap was the people. Not the oil, not the gold or resources, it was the people. And we are lucky as the people of Kenya because we have the people, and they are very hard working. So we have what it takes to lift this country to the next level. Number 2, he has told us to pay attention to inequality. A very serious challenge in our nation is inequality. We have too many people who still sleep hungry. We have too many people who are jobless. We have too many people who don't have income. We cannot progress as a nation when we cannot take care of the vulnerable. So Professor Hino has told us 20% of the bottom poor account for only 5% of income, while 20% of the rich people, of those of us in the higher category, control 50% of income. So 20% bottom, 5% of income, 20% top, 50% of income, meaning 10 times what the bottom has. We have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. How can people, how they access, how their children go to school, how their medical bills are paid, how they access employment opportunities, and how we create equality. Number 3, he has told us our opportunity is in raising small, medium, micro enterprises. We have an opportunity there. Sometimes we think they don't matter. But the good professor had told us that is where our opportunity is. How do we make micro, small, and medium enterprises grow? How do they access credit? How do they access opportunities? How do they access business? That should be we should pay attention. And then number 4, he has told us to pay attention to accountability, to dealing with corruption. He has told us 3 things. We now have a conflict of interest law, which we signed into law. There are many people who want to challenge it because it closes many doors on the people who have access to power, who want to use that power to access contracts and many things. Number 2, he has told us about EGP. We have been trying to implement EGP for many years. I am very happy that finally we have moved government procurement to an electronic platform where contracts can be transparent. We can know who is being allocated, which contract, for how much, and whether it matches the market parity. And he has told us that technology must play a very central role. I was listening to Mercy Mwangangi, our CEO of SHA, and he was saying the single most serious challenge he faces is how to stop fraud. You know? And we are very happy that finally, using technology, we are able to stem theft, fraud, and corruption. And to the good professor who has said here, going forward, technology is going to play a significant role in us taking this forward. So, in conclusion, let me say this. To the people of Kenya, nobody has a monopoly of good ideas. Beyond Vision 2030 is our collective responsibility. We must step up. It is a constitutional responsibility to each one of us. It is an obligation to each one of us to implement the Constitution. And part of implementing that Constitution is to figure out how we appropriate, access, and avail all rights that are provided for in the Constitution to everybody in Kenya. Whether it is human rights, electoral rights, rule of law, access to water, access to education, freedom from hunger, making sure that the Constitution, what the Constitution says, that every citizen must access the highest standards of health, the highest standards of education, the highest standards of housing. It is our responsibility collectively for us to have a plan on how this is going to be attained. And we have the opportunity. I want to pledge here that government is not going to lead the talks. It is going to facilitate. This is about the people. Whatever platform that is required to be provided, we are going to provide the platform. Let the people, in their diversity, the religious community have ideas, private sector have ideas, farmers like myself have ideas, students have ideas, the academia have ideas, our good friends in civil society, they have ideas. Let us bring the cocktail of ideas and have a plan for our country into the future. It is our opportunity. Let us not abdicate. Let us not delegate. Let us not run away from that responsibility. It is our duty, it is our obligation constitutionally to make sure that we think about the future of our nation so that Adrian, sitting here with us, 7 years old, will know what the future is going to look like. Thank you very much. I hope I have not taken too much, but this is the opportunity for us, and I am very happy to be part of this as a Kenyan myself. And believe you me, I will be part of it as a Kenyan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Your Excellency. Thank you for the context. And Mark, just be on standby. I will be coming to you. That context is very important. We've heard that the center of gravity for growth in the world is shifting to Africa. The world doesn't want it to shift to Africa, but inevitably it is shifting. And African countries, through their strategic actions and positioning, will determine whether it shifts on the world's terms or it shifts on our terms. Kenya today, and Your Excellency will confirm, has been tasked with building an AU that is fit, informing the build of an AU that is fit for purpose for Africa today and the Africa we want. Kenya is doing that. Yes, and it is important. Kenya today has been tasked by the world with convening around the issue of trust. The Trust Summit is being held in Kenya under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the world is looking to Kenya to tell the world, what are we learning about how we rebuild trust in communities, in societies, between citizenry, with government? How do we rebuild trust? So Kenya has a responsibility to think deeply about where she is going for ourselves, but also for Africa. Does that matter to us? I hope it does. I hope it does. Mark, I'd love to come back to you now to take us round the room. Yes, I see Wananchi hands. We're ready to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie, and thank you for those who... So I'll just start here and then you'll pass it back to the lady right behind you, young lad. So crisp and short.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Karanja Kinyanjui. I'm an investment professional, born, raised, and living in Nairobi. I'm a portfolio associate at a Pan-African venture capital firm. So on a day-to-day basis, I get the privilege to speak to entrepreneurs across Kenya and Africa and deploy meaningful capital into their businesses. I give you this context because every day I get to see Kenyans and their talent and ambitions on a day-to-day basis and even back and support these businesses. But I also see a lot of strong ideas and entrepreneurs held back by gaps in capital, infrastructure, and execution as well. And so for me, a vision beyond 2030 is very personal because it affects the trajectory of my career in the investment space, fundamentally. It also affects the legacy that I leave behind for my family. I'll be not so old, but approaching retirement by the time 2060 comes about. And so I need to personalize these goals for you as my leaders so that you understand what needs to be done for me as Sean. I can't speak for everyone here and the mic will go around the room, but I have 3 key goals that I need to achieve by the time I am 60. And the first one is to be a captain of my industry. I want to sit like James Mwangi here on the podium and say, I'm a global allocator of capital, that people can come to Kenya and say, where's Sean? Let's give him capital. And under this framework of investment that we'll lay out for 2060, I will be able to manage and deploy that capital into our entrepreneurs and spur our economies. But for that to happen in this plan, we need to make sure that there is predictable monetary policies, strong and transparent institutions, investor confidence, so that when someone says, I am domiciling my fund in Kenya, they're not scared that most of it will go away to punitive measures or lack of transparency or get lost entirely because there's no strong ecosystem to support the businesses they invest in. And Mr. President, I do agree with you. Fundamental to that goal of mine is going to be eradicating poverty because businesses and the investors behind them are only as good as the income that the everyday Mwananchi has to spend on the products and services that these businesses offer. So that needs to be a thing. And Mr. President, just like you, I have a love and passion for agriculture. At our fund, we get to invest into agriculture products and projects across the continent. And I've seen the math, I've seen the data, I've seen the capital flows. And let me tell you, young people, agriculture is the way to go. We have the opportunity to become the food basket of the world. And one day I want to say that I want to step down from my role as the future James Mwangi and get into agriculture at scale. I want to become a farmer and export and feed the world. But to do that, the economics of farming in Kenya also need to work. Access to markets, logistics and transport, water, access to land, all of those need to work for that dream to happen. And my final dream, I just got married a month ago, and, and I plan to go forth and multiply. And so being a father, being a husband, being someone who raises a family in Kenya is core to me, because I need to make sure that my kids grow up in a meritocracy so that their education, their skill set, and the opportunities that are before them are what will open up doors for them, not their last name, not where they were born, who they know. That's the kind of future that I want for my children. And I want to be old in my 60s, living in a Kenya that works, and one that I can be happy in, and I can say, najivunia kuwa Mkenya.
Thank you. Over to you. All right, let me pass it over to you. And let's keep it short and crisp. And Sean, just for as an interjection, 60 is not to grow old. There are 60-year-olds here who feel targeted by what you've said. But I get your point, young man. 60 is not old. We still have very young 60-year-olds here. So, tuendelee nalo. Keep it short.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Achieng Masawa. I come from the great county of Siaya and a woman representative aspirant. I'm a social impact and enterprise-based consultant. I had a privilege to study in Israel and also study entrepreneurship in US through Mandela Washington Fellowship. I'm also a former student leader at University of Nairobi, where I represented gender affairs and also vied for chairmanship back in 2015. And as we sit here today, I am so grateful that this conversation is taking place. It has been so long overdue. I come from a county where we are the source that have been on the streets far too long. And I'm really, really grateful that one of the least developed pillar is economic pillar. And being a youthful country with a young population, I believe, and today is the International Youth Day, I believe that focusing our energy in enabling the capacity of our young people is the way forward. And today I am greatly challenged that the president of our great republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has led the National Vision Board. I would like to challenge all of us as young Kenyans and every Kenyan to also develop our personal vision board to contribute to the growth of our country and to the journey to Singapore. Thank you so much.
Over to you, over to you. Melody, you have someone?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, first of all, my name is Hilary Ojwang. I am a Gen Z of this nation and a graduate mechanical engineer. So my comment as of today is that, first of all, I want to thank you for this initiative, because we came up with Vision 2030, and we are now we are developing a relay of visions. So we have Vision 2030, handing it over to Vision 2060. As we hand it over to Vision 2060, we really just have to reflect and check back and see what is our progress in the social pillar. We have made some progress. Our progress in the political pillar has been significant. But our challenge, Your Excellency, which is the key and the core of changing the life of our people, is the economic pillar. And as a young person, as a Gen Z of this country, I want to thank you because you are saving us in disguise. Because when I'll be old, and in my 60s, in 33 years to come, the current generation, the generation Alpha, will be asking us for jobs and asking us, what did we do when we were young that they are jobless? That is why I'm taking you, because by Vision 2060, we are trying to solve the solution of creating jobs for our people. My comment is that as our president, and we are praying for you, and we are going to hand over the job to you once again in 2027. I just want to ask you that in that last term, Your Excellency, focus on the economic aspect kindly. Our young people are still hungry. We still have few opportunities in our country. We want our economy to be strengthened. You say that a significant percentage of our country, our land, which is arable, is still used. Let us utilize that. Let us have food in our country that we can export. We can even process it and export final goods to the global market. That way we'll have solved a lot of problems for our people and create opportunities. When you look around you, majority of the things here are imported. If you look at the speakers, the cars around here are imported. We will only empower our people if we can do much of the job here and export to the global market. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. God bless you, and I appreciate us for gathering here today.
Asante sana, naona sasa kipaza sauti upande huu pia kimeruhusu. Kuna dada hapa, jitambulishe kwa dakika 10 nawe toa mchango wako.
Before you hand over the mic, ningependa participate. And to me, Your Excellency, I will say thank you very much. Kama si wewe, vijana wewe kwanza. Your Excellency, remember I'm a clinical student from KMTC, student leader. Na pia hii angalia mahali uangalia wanafunzi wamemaliza course zao za KMTC, and pia Masi Mwangangi angalia mahali hawa watoto pia. Tuangalie sisi wanafunzi wa KMTC, please.
Hello. Before he just adjourns it, I'm Brian. I'm the founder and CEO of B Malsons. I just have one review to just add. We've been actually trying to say how are we going to create more jobs. Currently in Kenya, we have almost 11,000 startups. So if the government can just, let's say back up these 11,000 startups and just, let's say they just get funding, for example. Each startup can just employ almost 50 people. So those 50 people, as in, if they're now given actually money, they can actually now create more employment actually now for the young youths now.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me talk. My name is Anne Adhiambo Onyango. I am a volunteering secretary actually for a community-based organization known as Tekeleza Mtaani Initiative. So my question is about climate action. For me, I define Vision 2030 as attaining goals for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm gonna go to SDG number 13, that is climate and its impact. We've been seeing news being warned that El Nino is coming September to December. So apart from us sending Red Cross to rescue missions and all that kind of thing, what are we doing with the drainage? And what are we doing to make sure that the adverse climatic repercussions don't get to us as individuals? Kindly, when you are thinking about 2030, think about climate change and its impacts, because I work with the community and it is not looking good at the grassroots. Thank you.
Asante.
Sorry about the challenge with the sound, and we're trying to get, I had promised this young lady here, na hapa, na point two, kwa sababu ya muda, lakini pia wewe utaposition watu pia. I love this sign. Let me just say, yes, I love the hands. I see you all. I appreciate that. And this is what we are starting. So hatufungii mtu yoyote, lakini tunawapa wale ambao wanaweza zungumza kwa muda tu. I love the passion and I love the reaction. We just also need to give that side of the room. So that's why we're kind of giving an opportunity for those on the other side of the room. Young lady, please keep it safe, short, and then we will come to as many. But as you would appreciate, there's other parts of the program, and there's another opportunity for an open mic. I promise you. I promise you. Quick.
Thank you so much. I'm called Lucy Wanjiru Mbugua, a youth leader from Nakuru County, and aspiring senator come 2027 next year. And my question to the president is, there was a clip that Rigiji talked. We know Vision 2063 will go beyond your administration and possibly several generations. Now my question is, how will you make sure Vision 2030 belongs to Kenya and not to a particular government, so that the future administration continue implementing it regardless of who is in power? And as I finish, I want to say that I want this Vision 2030 to be a Kenya where there is no corruption, and where youths, we are employed regardless of who we know, as long as we are educated. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Asante, asante, asante. Tumsikie dada hapa.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Mr. President and the nation at large. My name is Nora Kerubo Rangi. I'm from the Open University of Kenya. First of all, I'm Treasurer. First of all, I want to thank you so much, Mr. President, because after almost 36 years, I was able to go back to the university and undertake my degree in business entrepreneurship and education. I was just watching you on a television set like this, and you were inaugurating Open University of Kenya, and I saw the opportunity, and I wondered, how doesn't Kenya know about this opportunity? Open University of Kenya is an online program where you learn from anywhere in the country, in the world. Continue with your business, continue with your business, with your professional life, but at the same time, upgrade yourself. So what I want to say is I've seen a very huge opportunity in this space. So President, as we are continuing, can we continue to implement this online learning space? I have seen students from across the world. I've seen students from across the continent coming to Open University. We are 3 years old only. We started with virtually zero, and we are now 30,000 students. So as Kenya, we can capitalize on this economic pillar and export education. Kenya is at the pillar of education, and they are coming from all over online. So I would like to see Open Primary Schools of Kenya, Open Secondary Schools of Kenya, and the rest is history. I've also seen people from other countries come here for the primary school education, for the secondary school education. So at 2030, that is also another pillar. People trust Kenya. They trust the education in Kenya. So that is a pillar I would like us to capitalize on and take advantage on. There are huge revenues in education. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Asante sana. Kuna wepo wengi huko. Acha nimtape ukaka mwenye shati yake ya maroon.
The President, the Deputy President, and all protocol observed. I might struggle to communicate because I've never addressed such kind of a congregation, but you'll get my points. I have very delicious points and very ambiguous points. Now, this is a national conversation that personally I expected the leaders from across the political divide to be able to attend. I'm quite disappointed that some leaders are not present. My name is Samson Ligala. I come from Kisumu County. My governor, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, is among the leaders that are, spearheading the conversation. So, as you know and as you understand, leaders from Kisumu like myself, we are very brilliant, and we are supposed to be on the conversation and on the table. Now, Vision 2030 was formed when I was in class 3. I didn't know much about it, but my late father, used to really talk about it like every day. So I got to understand, and I'm glad that today I'm part of the team that is talking, that is addressing the country, and I hope that in future, the foundation that was built, we can have a conversation on it and be able to make changes. Personally, I want to talk about my ward, because in 2027 I will be the MCA for North Nyakach ward in Kisumu County, God willing. Kule nataka kuongea kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu si wengi wanaelewa Kizungu wenye wananiona kutoka huko. Agriculture. Rais, naomba mnisaidie, mnipatie muda kidogo nimalize. Okay, thank you. So we should work on inaitwa value addition and empower the farmers at home and everyone, wale wananchi wenye wako chini. Hii conversation vile rais amesema tuweke conversation ikuwe kuhusu wananchi wenye wako chini, si leaders peke yake. Thank you for the opportunity.
Melody, I'm right here with the young one. Melody, I'm right here at the front, just to speak to two young representatives who are looking forward to Kenya post Vision 2030.
Kisha baada ya hapo tutarejesha mic jukwani. Baada ya hapo kipaza sauti kitarejea.
Samahani, sorry for that. Real quick, and then we'll hand it over to Julie because there's more to the program and there's another open mic session. But I love the passion. This is just an indicator of what we need moving forward.
To His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, all the Cabinet Secretaries, senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen, children, boy and girl. Is it afternoon? Yeah, good afternoon. So my name is Blessed Barak Juma. I'm 15 years old. And it's a great pleasure to actually be speaking in front of the President today as an advocate for the rights of the children, especially child participation. And first of all, I would like to thank the President because I would say he's really considering the children because of bringing up the first State Department of Children's Services in Kenya. So, Mr. President, we really thank you for that. And I would like to also thank him for this vision 2060, beyond 2030, because as of 2060, I'll be 49 years old. And hopefully, God willing, if all of you will be there, all the children, they'll give me an opportunity to be the President of the Republic of Kenya. And I would say that this dream is going to continue, and vision beyond 2030 is going to be a great impact, not only to the people of Kenya, but to the children of the Republic of Kenya. So I will request child participation, not only by the voice, but children be included in decision-making, implementation of the vision beyond 2030.
Good afternoon, everyone. I really thank the Government Delivery Unit for inviting us to this conversation. So first of all, I'm going to go to the Agenda 2060. In inclusion of children, we would like to have the food security improved by investing in smart agriculture and true strength in schools feeding programming. And also coming to child protection services, we would like to strengthen the system supporting vulnerable families and ensuring every child knows their rights. Mostly protecting children must be included in creating these decisions in the 2060 agenda. Thank you so much.
Julie, are you ready to take it up? Just because of time and the next agenda, but there's another open mic and I appreciate the passion.
Thank you so much. We are blown away by the young voices. Give them another round of applause, please. And it's a reminder that actually very often our young ones are smarter, faster than us, but we still, as Wazir, have a few things to share and teach you, but this kind of dialogue is so important. Thank you. I know James wanted to talk to the young man, Sean. I think you will get a chance at a conversation because I must wrap up now. Let us give a round of applause to the panel as they take their seats. Sean, look for James. He wants to talk to you. So yes, thank you. Please take your seats. Panel, thank you so much. A better round of applause, please, for them. Please, please. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close and hand over, we talk a lot about Singapore. And Singapore did many big things. But Singapore also did some fundamental, simple things. I want you to Google Lee Kuan Yew talking about the change. One of the things he stopped in Singapore was spitting. To transform Singapore, he stopped the culture of spitting. And they were very angry because they were passionate. They said, this is what we do, we spit. He said, you will stop spitting. And they stopped spitting. Another thing that he did was language. They all had different languages. Sisi tuko na Kiswahili. It's wonderful. They had different languages, and he told them, we shall speak the same. Pende, usi? Pende, we shall speak the same language. And I want to close by saying, as we have these conversations about what we want, part of what we want is individual responsibility. Mnatupa takataka, alafu mna complain. Mnauliza, governor kwa nini? But if governor also is responsible for doing certain things, but we as individuals take our personal responsibility. If you throw something on the floor, ni nani, unataka nani to pick it up? So Kenya, let us rise, let us rise, let us rise. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie Gishuru, my senior in the profession, and actually the one who held my hand to get into the newsroom back in 2008. The reason I bring this out, it's a process and a journey of holding someone else's hand and taking them to the future. And I appreciate those who've actually grabbed my hand trying to get the mic. Your view or your opinion is not any less than any other, and it is just in the interest of the agenda that we have. I see your hand, sir. I see your hand, that we have something called a hack at 100. There's another open mic session, and I appreciate the passion, just to be able to accommodate those who prepared, something that we can envision in terms of the digital capabilities of hacking a future beyond 2030. And for that, I'd like to call on Bernard and Mika and team, tafadhali wakijiunga nasi hapa mbele, tafadhali tuwape makofi. Bernard and Mika, hack at 100. How can we hack this?
We hack Nairobi every time we are moving around with traffic. When someone told you how they got somewhere, ulisema uli hack traffic by taking a boda. Vijana, halo. We are here, we are building the future. I'm not feeling the energy. Vijana, halo. Mr. President, halo. Asante sana. When I say future yetu, tunasema tuko ready. Future yetu? Future yetu? Thank you. We need to have the energy so that Adrian, who spoke here so well, can feed off our energy. If we are building the future where everyone is bored, there is nothing to build. So, by the way, we are live on all platforms. We have a lot of creators who are live on X, Meta, Twitch. There's a Matatu parked outside, 2 of them. They are streaming on all platforms. So Hack Kenya 100 and Beyond Vision 2030, hackkenya100.com. We are live. Go online. We'll plug you with all the latest updates. Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, Your Excellency, Deputy Kithure Kindiki, thank you for organizing this session. And all protocols observed. And I have to say, Vision 2030 is the only foundation or structure that got me out of a village in Keroka, in Kisii, and took me to Alliance High School. Hashtag, I went to Alliance. We went to Alliance, and without free education, I wouldn't be here today. So Vision 2030 team, Mugo Kibati, Alliance High School, we see the dream and we are to build today. And nataka mnishikie namba mbili. Namba ngapi? Namba mbili. 75 and 100. 75 and? After we are done, mwenye atakumbuka zinamaanisha nini, utaniona nyuma ya tent. I'll give you something. But before we jump into it, I would like to introduce my team who has been behind an activity we've been doing for the past 1 week. We are running a Hack 100 hackathon where we had over 10,000 young people all over the world applying for them to propose bold ideas, bold visions in terms of where they want to see Kenya at 100. We had applications from San Francisco, California, Frankfurt, Shenzhen, all over the world, because everyone wants to be part of building our future. So I would like to introduce my team, starting with Kevin, and we can jump into the next 15 minutes or so to show you what we have. Kevin?
Thank you, Bernard. My name is Kevin. I work with young people to help them articulate their ideas and their passion so that they can be understood by people who want to build them out, invest, and I'm here to do strategy and coordination.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Oduor. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm representing the legal team on this Hackathon 100.
Right, my name is Naini Lankas. I also work with Shannon, and part of what we do for Hack 100 is that all of the hacks, the solutions, and the innovations that are coming our way are anchored in the Constitution. So we are keeping that in mind in everything that we are doing for Hack 100. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jane Martha. I work under Hackathon, and I'm part of it. I conduct issues on strategy and governance, and I also deal with the creators that you have heard. I'm one leading them. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arthur Kamau, and I'm part of the team handling the sports sector.
Good afternoon. My name is Micah Mathenge. I'm a CEO of a company called Venture Money. I work in the investment banking space, and I work with young entrepreneurs who are looking for investment in Kenya and abroad. Thank you.
Asante sana. They'll come back to stage shortly. Don't worry about my dressing. I was told to dress down to represent the youth. So si suti sina, niko na suti kadhaa. Remember the numbers I gave you. How many were they? How many were they? 2 numbers. Which one and which one? This side, which number? This side? Aya shikilia hivyo hivyo as we watch this clip for you to understand what those numbers mean. Media team? The audio is missing? As they play the video, those numbers mean 2 things. 75% of Kenya's population are under the age of what? 35, right? And if we are not involving them in building this future, we have no future we are building towards. And personally, by the time we are 2063, I'll be probably 70 years old. So I'm building this future for our kids and for our kids' kids. So it's very important for us to involve our young people in building the future we are building today. And I'm not sure that the video is ready. The media team. We invited young people from all over the world to submit bold ideas in terms of what they want to see. And we challenged them. If you were to envision Kenya in 2100, what would you like to see? Where would you like to see education? Where would you like to see energy? Where would you like to see technology and AI? Personally, I'm a co-founder of a company. I lead teams across the world, teams in Nairobi, teams in Lagos, San Francisco, and Cape Town. Every day we see how AI is changing how we work, right? Professor Bitange said AI is going to change how we are going to work. So how are young people seeing all these changes that are currently panning out across the world? So the future we are talking about, young people have started building that future today. And the idea we had was, we had a hackathon happening across the country, and builders were building ideas, and all of them were assessed by a team that is capable to actually analyze which idea has the potential to have an impact for over 1 million people. And we had a bunch of them who are building those solutions. And I would like Micah to come and introduce some of them here as we wait for the media team to play the video clip. Micah?
Thank you so much, Bernard. I would like to invite a few people that were very innovative in the hackathons that we've had. But before I invite them, I'd like to tell you that the youth of this country today are not thinking about problems that we are having in this country. They are thinking of solutions. And I'll give you an example of one of the solutions, ICT solutions, that has been profiled to us. This is a solution that has been created by the youth. It's for savings. The youth are saving. So I'll give you the example here is for a child who is 7 years old, and he's working with his parents, and his parents are saving 200 shillings every single day to buy him a PS. The app that has been created, which is for beyond 2030, definitely, the app that has been created has reminders, but the reminders from the child are more consequential than the reminders from the app. And so we are looking at children who are learning discipline. They are learning the importance of investing. They are learning how to invest small, waiting to grow big from the innovations that we have. I would like to invite Felix from Sanifu. I don't know if he's around. And if he's not around, I'll invite Naini Lankas to come in and talk about the investments, the legal avenue that we have, the legal infrastructure. Come. Yes, come.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for this initiative to actually look at Vision Beyond 2030. So my name is Sidney Rema. I'm a co-founder and CEO at a company called Sanifu AI. We are kind of the frontiers of AI in Kenya for small businesses. We are servicing many across Africa, not just in Kenya. Most of the big companies, around use Sanifu AI to process things like orders, invoices, pay taxes, and all that. So I think for today, beyond 2030 for us, what we are looking at is we are enabling a new digital economy. We're enabling a new digital economy. Sanifu has the capability to enable young people who don't even have any coding skills to be able to actually build data applications by just describing it, which means we are seeing more people opening AI agencies, servicing businesses that have never accessed AI before. And one interesting thing you'd actually note is that, yes, we do have all this conversation about AI, but I don't think people really conceptualize what's happening. And I say this as let me say as an ex-user. You always have people saying, hey, these are things that are happening maybe in the US and other countries, but they don't really conceptualize what is actually happening. And I would like to suggest something. Maybe the team or the task force that is planning towards Beyond Vision 2030, if there's one single investment that will actually make, that will significantly change the country or significantly change the future of the younger generation right now, is deliberately investing in training in AI and technology. You can build all the roads in the world, that's good. We'll build the roads, we'll build the infrastructure, but if you cannot stimulate the young people to actually understand how to quickly adopt AI and technology very fast, I don't think we'll actually have the leap that we're expecting. And I'll give you a good example. A few years back, we were doing charity in different children's homes where we were issuing computers that are old from, all these government offices. And we were training kids as young as 5 years, 7 years, 8 years old on how to use basic computers. And you'll actually be surprised what kind of applications they're able to build by the time they're 13. So yes, I think that is one ask. The second ask, allow me, the second ask is I've built startups for the last almost 15 years. And I'll tell you for sure, we always feel alone. I've raised capital from some of the biggest investors in the world, but I see so many startups dying every single day. I see startups that are actually building not just for the Kenyan market, but for the African market as a whole. They die every single day. There is no proper structure for support. There is no investor incentives. There's a lot of changing policies that are making investors not want to invest in us. And I can tell you for sure, if you really and truly want to invest in the young people, think about tech and AI. And don't think about it in terms of suggestive, hey, schools teach this and this. No, mandatory. Make it a mandatory class. Make it a mandatory class across the entire curriculum, essentially, for that. That's my 1-2. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Because of time, the media team, you can play the clip in terms of how the young people want to see the future that they want to build today. Things that Sydney and the team are building, we want to see how do they look 100 from now.
Now open them. This is Kenya at 100. And it begins in our classrooms. Every child learning, creating, and dreaming with a world-class education made for them. A nation of builders, cities dreamed by our own people and raised by our own hands. ocean, no Kenyan left behind. Powered by the brilliance of our young people, the 75%. Feeding ourselves, sustaining our land, prosperity grown at home. Clean power from our valleys, our winds in the atom. Energy that never runs dry.
Made in Kenya, built by Kenyans, traded with the world. Our wildlife protected, our heritage alive, the world welcomed as family. A thriving blue economy, from the port of Mombasa to every fishing village. Health and dignity for every Kenyan, from the first breath to the last. But this future is not a promise, it is a project, and it begins today with you. And we start building today. A time capsule travels across all 47 counties, awakening builders and dreams. Your ideas, captured and preserved. The boldest go into development with seed financing ready. Kenya 100, future yetu, tuko ready.
Future yetu? Future yetu? Now you understand the concept of the 100 and the 75, right? Very good students. In this presentation, you've seen a time capsule. Have you seen it? So this time capsule was conceptualized by the over 10,000 young people who applied for these ideas, and it will be flagged off by the matatus we have. There's a time capsule there that will be going across all the 47 counties to collect views, to collect ideas from the young people so that they start building. And there is available financing of at least R1 million per the bold idea that will take Kenya to the next level. I would like to invite Kevin to slightly talk about the capsule, then we finish up.
I am a beneficiary of the friendship of Alliance High School alumni. Bernard drags me into every room that opens up for him. So I am very grateful to Alliance High School for that friendship that they extend to people. My young creators also tend to speak very quickly, and so I get the work of explaining things a bit carefully because we are required to bring everybody along. So will you allow me to do that? So what didn't land before the video happened is a website that has been created by this able team. The website is live as we speak, hackkenya100.com. This website is being populated and advertised by a group of young people who you may not have met because they are in the far end where there are two matatus. Now, what is happening, many people who are picking up the mic, they are addressing His Excellency. What these young people are doing, they are saying, Your Excellency, we have a solution to help because the government cannot create jobs for everybody. And in our presence, we have a 16-year-old who has already announced his intention to eye the same seat. So young people who are in our midst, we must quit asking the government and we must start building solutions. And what this team has done, they have provided a website where if you see a shortcoming in any service delivery, propose it as what they are calling the hack. Are we together so far? So, you would be saying, Your Excellency, we have provided a hack. Can we get funding for this hack? Now, these ideas are not limited to Kenya. I need you to know we have a community of over 400,000 Kenyans in the diaspora. In the interest of time, I may not go through all of them. So the hack involves how can we interact with Kenyans in the diaspora. We have very many Kenyans who, many years, we've been exporting our brains. We export our brains from Nyeri, from Kericho. We export our brains everywhere. Somebody said when you're in front of the head of state, there is heat. The heat is acting on me. Allow me to gain my composure. Aya, sawa. So now what is going to happen is that there are communities of Kenyans in the diaspora. How are we connecting with them to link up with them and solve these solutions? Because in our interactions with Kenyans in the diaspora, they want to come back to Kenya, isn't it? You know Kenyans in the diaspora want to come back to Kenya, isn't it? What will they find? They will find these businesses that they need to expand. And so if you are in our midst and you're following us, that is what Hack 100 is about. Allow me to do the second bit of explanation, which my team did very quickly. And I will use a visual aid. Why? We must bring everybody along. Are we together? So they mentioned Hack 100, and then they said there's a capsule. So we carried a capsule to be able to explain where the idea of the capsule came from. So a capsule is this shape, and I know it is small. So we carried a bigger one so that we bring everybody along. So this capsule is going to go everywhere where Kenyans are so that you can put your ideas in it. So I'm going to open this capsule. So this capsule is going to be the conversation builder amongst young people. Instead of begging the government to do things, what ideas have you put in this capsule so that when we reach your location, we can unpack the contents of this capsule. When this capsule goes all around, we will preserve our memories, we will preserve our aspirations, and it is proposed for these ideas to be preserved, and hopefully when we celebrate Kenya at 100, it will be opened to see, did we make it? Did we not? Was the dream achievable? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The capsule is way bigger than it is, and it's outside the matatus. Thank you, Your Excellency, and that is all the time we had.
Asante sana. Thank you to the team, Bernard, and the rest of them, Mika and all. This is just the beginning. There's an online platform where you can interact with all the features that they have showcased here, and you'll be able to do that. And again, just to reiterate, as I call on the next round of stakeholders who are here in many ways as representatives, as citizens, but also with the bodies that they represent, the sectors that they represent, I should say. And as we do that, as we set up this particular sitting for them, I'd like to call on the Deputy President. Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, if you may, because just as a quick word, because in this conversation as we move forward, we are looking at where do we go from here? How will different stakeholders engage in the national conversation? So we do have representation from a Kenya Association of Manufacturers. We have from the National Securities Exchange. And just as well as someone who has seen the journey over the years with the previous administrations, much as what we are charting forward is going to surpass and go beyond just particular governments. But we have seen the contribution of the previous governments to the Vision 2030. That was led by the late President Mwai Kibaki. That was led by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And now that this particular leadership has contributed to in bringing success to Vision 2030 and pushing it forward. So how, in your view, you would say we have an outlook to build beyond Vision 2030. Just as we set up this stage, and I'll call on those stakeholders to come up and speak. Just as the President gave a quick word here, karibu sana to the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki. Tumpe makofi tafadhali.
Wakenya hoye! Wakenya hoye! Mheshimiwa Rais, nimeulizwa ya kwamba kwa dakika 3 niseme hatua ambazo serikali imepiga katika kupeleka Kenya mbele na ruwaza ya kuboresha maisha ya Wakenya ili tuwe kati ya nchi zilizoendelea katika siku za usoni. I am proud to report on behalf of the government of Kenya that the last 4 years, under the leadership of President William Ruto, we have been able to do a number of things. And I want to highlight some of the steps that we've taken as a country in taking the development of our country forward from where President Ruto found it. Number 1, this administration has been able to stabilize our economic fundamentals that underwrite our long-term development path. The pillars of development, agriculture, industry, business, enterprise, and so forth, infrastructure, must rest on strong, stable economic fundamentals. All the indicators are showing to a stable economy, a strong currency. For the last 2.5 years, the Kenyan currency has been stable. We found it at 162, 165 to the dollar. It has been stuck at 129 for 2.5 years, showing economic stability. We have multiplied our foreign exchange reserves from $5.7 in 2022 to today, $15.1 billion, the highest foreign exchange reserves in the history of our country. When President Ruto took over, we didn't have enough foreign exchange. And of course, foreign exchange is a factor for international trade and stabilizing the economy. We have also been able to reduce interest rates. We have also been able to be rated favorably, not by ourselves, but by international sovereign rating agencies. Standards and Poor, Moody's have now upgraded the economy of Kenya to a stable economy. And there are many other fundamentals that I can speak to, including moderating inflation from 9.6% where we found it to now a stable under 6%, and we are still working on the issue of inflation. Of course, on that front also, we have been able to attract last year the highest amount of foreign direct investment in the history of our country, $3.2 billion. This is a report of the United Nations agency, UNCTAD, last year. And all these things put together are showing a stable economy. The central bank lending rate to commercial banks has come down from 13.5% to 8.75% at the moment. The price of government paper, government bonds, and treasury bills has come down, and now that means private sector can access credit and so forth and so on. We have stabilized the economy. Number 2, we've been able to work on the agricultural transformation, and we have achieved a number of things under the agricultural transformation pillar. We have been able, for example, to register our farmers. We used to work on guesswork. We didn't know how many farmers we have, where they are, what they grow, the size of their farms, the kind of fertilizer they need. Now we have a register of 7.2 million farmers. We have also been able to increase our production of some of the major value chains in agriculture. Maize production has grown from 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags last year to underwrite our food security. Unga prices have also been moderated from 250 shillings to right now around 140, 150 for 2 kilograms. We've also been able to transform the coffee sector by removing cartels and increasing our production of coffee, and also the income to coffee farmers has now grown from 60, 70 shillings a kilo of cherry to about 120 to 160 per kilogram of cherry. Our tea production has grown from $138 billion shillings, 138 billion shillings in 2022 to last year's 215 billion shillings. Our sugar production has grown from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to last year's 815,000 metric tons of sugar. And therefore, that is a big milestone in terms of that value chains, and we have now more farmers benefiting in that sector. We have revived the industries and the factories in the sugar